This is Jago Rides. I love to visit locally owned corner stores, and because I'm a grinder, I never go to buy anything. I just go inside, look suspicious, and test their shoplifting policies. So I went to this cute little shop to do just that. As I was walking into the store though, something stopped me dead in my tracks. This air conditioner above the door has the word Pages carved into it. Now, This is something else. Guy's trying to make shopping in his store a little more comfortable for the customer by adding some air conditioning. And now, the first thing he sees every day when he opens his store is this visual slap in the face. He even took several precautions to prevent physical damage like this to his shit, providing this big bare wall for graffiti because he figured it was easier to make this wall fair game for the vandals than other vandalism like property damage. He put prison bars over the windows so no one would smash them. It's pretty sound logic if you ask me, but there's no way he could have seen this coming. I mean, it's pretty cutting edge style of vandalism and very low cost. All you need is someone else's air conditioner and a rock. Now the lady responsible has started a program teaching this style of vandalism to underprivileged youth vandals who can't afford the high cost of entry to more traditional forms of vandalism, such as buying a baseball bat and smashing stuff. The community honored her with her picture and accolades hung from this post for all she's done in getting kids off the street by introducing them to vandalism as a hobby. But not everyone is happy with her. For the shop owner, he has to look at the person who muffed up his air conditioner being honored every day as her picture was hung outside his shop where she created the unique style. It's crazy that all this happened just because he wanted to make his customers a little more comfortable while they shop. I bet he'll think twice next time he wants to do something nice. After about an hour of getting video of the air conditioner, the owner came out and told me to get the hell out of here and stop praising the vandal. So that's what I did. I continued biking and never got to see if they could catch me shoplifting. So I was biking on this sidewalk when I noticed this payphone. This ain't no run-of-the-mill everyday payphone though. This is a limited edition, busted in half handset payphone. That's the official name. They didn't make many of this kind because it's so impractical. That makes this a very rare find. And that got me thinking about the life this payphone has led. In its heyday, there would be a never-ending stream of crackheads lining up to place their orders of crack through this phone line. But it was also a safety net for hookers to call their pimps when a John would try to stiff them. If you put your ear up to it, you can still hear the faint voice of a pimp answering the call from his bottom bitch.
What you want, bitch?
Sadly though, the glory days are long gone for the payphone. No more does Neo come around to pick it up to escape the Matrix. No longer does the coin slot get stuffed with quarters. Now, it just sits here alone, collecting dust, counting the days since it was last used. wondering if it will ever get back to the fame and respect it once took for granted. There's no way I could be the one to tell it its time had passed and the world had moved on. So I pushed its buttons one last time so it could feel alive again. But maybe there is some hope for the old girl, in the form of a protected heritage site from this fair city. But after seeing how the homeless are treated by the leaders of this city, I don't have much hope. I left there feeling sad for the relic, but quickly lost interest because it's a payphone. Who gives a shit how it feels? In my old neighborhood, there was a store called Price War. When I first discovered it, I was immediately intrigued because of the dope name, and it quickly became my favorite store. Price War had no genre. It sold everything: clothes, electronics, chips, whatever. No square inch of space was wasted. There was shit everywhere, even outside. Aisles so tight you had to turn sideways to fit through them. And they really did go to war with the prices. Shit was cheap. Anyways, when I moved, I had to say goodbye. But I found a new store that looked like it could rival Price War. I looked through the window, seemed along the same lines as Price War. Name wasn't as good though. But Byway, that's not a bad name. And with a name like that, it must be LGBT friendly. So I knew the owners were open-minded and progressive and wouldn't mind a skid like me in their store. But then, I seen this sign. A closing down sale sign. I knew at that moment I could never step foot in there and risk falling in love, only to be heartbroken when the day came that they closed. So I erased the store from my mind and moved on with my life and continued the search for a new store that could declare a war on price. Now back to present day, on this bike ride, I happened to see the Byway sign still up. I stopped to take a look and it was still open over a year later. And they still have the closing down sale sign up. So what? They lied about closing down? For what reason would you lie about that? They can't be trusted. They're pathological liars. Wait, what else are they lying about? I go in there to buy eye drops, they lie to me and sell me battery acid instead? Now I'm not saying you shouldn't shop there, but I dodged a bullet by not going to this place in the first place. This is no Price War. At that point, I just had to get out of there. I felt so betrayed. As you may or may not know, I have a pea-sized bladder. Here, I've drawn this diagram to illustrate my point. Here's my bladder. This tiny bit of white space is the empty space, and that's 2 milliliters of liquid filling up my bladder. And here's a regular bladder. See all the empty space? And 2 milliliters of liquid filling up just a little bit. That's why I have to piss so often. And because of that, I often share my choice locations to relieve myself on my bike rides. But this is not one of those times. This is a case of discrimination. This prime back alley location has 3 signs discriminating against people like me. Don't they know we're a protected class? We have rights. This is considered a hate crime. We had made such great progress in the Little Bladder community that I thought we were past this as a society. As much as it hurts me to see signs like this, they tend to have the opposite effect in what they're trying to do. People don't like to be told what to do, especially by a sign. They're basically advertising this wall is a good spot to piss. I bet since the installation of these signs, the urine levels on the wall have increased tenfold. I'll be sure to visit this spot frequently in the future in the name of civil rights. And mark my words, one day a cop will escort me to this spot to freely piss all over the walls. And it was getting pretty late on the bike ride, so I was on my way home when I heard some commotion in the park. I wasn't even gonna stop, but I did as sort of a bonus stop. It was a music festival, one where you were allowed to camp out so you don't miss a thing. I didn't have a wristband, so I couldn't get in, but I did my best to document it. The musical act's stage was a bus. That's usually a bad sign for the quality of the music. And to be honest, it seemed like it was kind of a whack party. Not like the other party I went to. It was mostly just this guy dressed as a ghost that was into it. This lady was more concerned with rolling a joint than dancing. But it's pretty impressive she was able to do both at the same time. Of course, the ghost posted up beside her trying to get in on her reefer, the scavenger. Couple passerbys, mildly interested by what's going on, but they just continue on. I soon followed suit. I had enough of this shit, so I went home. Like I said, I wasn't there long, just checking it out, like a bonus stop. So that brings us to the end of the ride. And what a ride it was. Believe it or not, this is the 10th ride I've brought you along for. I used to do these rides all alone, but we've come a long way in our time together. And on behalf of all the sound guys, camera operators, writers, craft services, producers, directors, set decorators, grips, electric, assistants, and editors here at J-Gove Rides, we thank you for watching. Here's to 100 more J-Gove Rides. That strong drink.